If there was ever any doubt that the September 9th explosion has now become a national issue, then a personal visit today from Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood showed that what happened in San Bruno has definitely become a major concern throughout the country. Escorted by Congresswoman Jackie Spear, Mayor Jim Ruane, and other San Bruno officials, LaHood toured the Crestmore neighborhood, where 38 homes were destroyed and 8 people were killed after a natural gas transmission line exploded near Earl Avenue and Glenview Drive. He then went to San Francisco to take a look at some work PG&E was doing on a gas distribution pipeline project before leading a press conference with Congresswoman Spear.
Now, I'm just going to say this once. No more excuses. We have to move forward, and for that to happen in an effective manner, 3 conditions must exist at all times: transparency, accountability, and oversight. In terms of transparency, we want straight answers. The revelation from the PUC this week that PG&E didn't use $183 million on its pipeline replacement program in the 1990s did upset me. I asked for an accounting 2.5 months ago, and I got a cryptic response last Friday. CPUC wasn't doing its job in the 1990s, and PG&E, in my estimation, took its eye off of one of its core missions: safety. The CPUC has improved its oversight of PG&E, and PG&E in turn is renewing its infrastructure as evidenced by the work going on in this neighborhood today. But I would like to put the regulators and PG&E on notice that we will intensify our efforts to obtain responses in a timely, clear, and concise manner. I want to be assured, as do the people that I represent, that safety always comes first in the delivery of natural gas. Second is accountability. Consumers should pay for work that makes the delivery of natural gas safer. But if the work is the result of past mistakes, of intentional or otherwise, PG&E shareholders should foot the bill. In terms of oversight, state and federal regulators need to intensify their monitoring of operators of aging natural gas pipelines. I'm confident that under the leadership of Secretary LaHood, PHMSA will be very aggressive in moving forward. Secretary LaHood has an outstanding track record. He's shown in his efforts in dealing with Toyota and the issue of sudden acceleration. I've asked him to come to California and to see San Bruno firsthand, to meet with the city officials, to meet with the victims and the survivors. And I asked him to join with us in coming forward with solutions. He has a record that he should be justly proud of. He has redoubled the Department of Transportation's commitment to addressing pipeline safety. He's called on pipeline operators and owners to replace and repair pipeline in poor condition. He organized the National Pipeline Safety Summit in Washington, which brought together safety professionals and 200 top leaders from cities, states, and the industry. He's overseeing the development of new requirements that all operators of gas distribution pipelines take immediate action to identify, to evaluate, and to mitigate pipeline safety risks. He called on Congress to pass tough new safety standards and to help get more pipeline safety professionals on the inspection beat. Now, I've authored one of the measures that's pending in Congress. Getting bills through Congress is oftentimes an uphill battle, but in conversations with Secretary LaHood today, I am more confident than ever that if we don't get the legislation passed through Congress, he is willing, able, and prepared to implement much of these recommendations in regulations later this year.
Well, the reason I have such a glum look on my face is that my heart is full of sadness after meeting with the families. I don't recall another time in my 35 years of public service when I've ever felt as sad as I do today for what's happened to these families, for the great loss of their loved ones, for the injuries that have been caused. I met with the families today, and I met with them because I wanted to hear their stories, and we went around the table and I heard every one of their stories from each one of them. From the young man who lost his very own girlfriend and was badly burned, to others who lost their homes and lost all of their belongings. So this is a sad day for me, but it will lead me on to an endeavor which I think is very, very important. I believe that we in the Obama administration will redouble our efforts on pipeline safety. We will redouble our efforts. Beginning this August, we will require all operators of gas distribution pipelines to evaluate their risk and take immediate steps to mitigate them. I've also asked Congresswoman Spear and thanked her for her leadership and asked her to continue to pursue her legislation. Before I came here, I talked to the chairman of the Commerce Committee, Jay Rockefeller of West Virginia, and I talked to Senator Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey, and I asked them to pass pipeline safety legislation, similar to the legislation that Congresswoman Spear has introduced in the House. They need to do that for the people of San Bruno, but for the people in this country who need that. That legislation would raise the maximum civil penalties we can levy against companies that commit pipeline safety violations, and it would boost the number of safety professionals available to perform inspections, and it would close the loopholes that enable owners to evade safety standards. I don't need to tell anybody here in this community, we need to fix America's pipeline system. Part of it can be done from Washington, but a lot of it has to be done in the country by the pipeline companies. So I'm asking America's pipeline owners and operators once again, conduct a top-to-bottom review of your lines. Identify the oil and gas lines in greatest need of repair and replace pipelines in critical condition immediately. I want to remind the American people to call 811 before they put a shovel in the ground, because that will enable them to avoid any kind of an accident. To keep families and neighbors safe, we all have a responsibility to know what's underneath our front yard or our backyard. The bottom line is this: safety is the #1 priority at DOT, whether we're talking about trains, planes, automobiles, trucks, or buses.